All right. I think I'm live. Trusting everything is working properly. My name is Joseph E. Reed. I go by the name The One Man Orchestra, and I'm a musician. I've been doing music for many, many years, violin, guitar, different things like that. But I wanted to make a quick video, do a live stream, so I could also get your questions and give you some feedback during this video. But the video is about the top 5 music theory concepts that I believe if you master these, you learn and master these, everything else in music will be easier to learn and to do. So this video is going to be hopefully pretty simple information. I'm not going to go into a bunch of complex music theory concepts. I want it to be like, oh, that was easy. The reason I'm doing this is because a lot of times I've seen other music theory videos that say, hey, this is a beginner's music theory video. You can learn everything you need to learn in, half an hour. And then you get a minute into it and it's like, whoa, this is kind of complicated. So I'd really like your feedback on this and tell me if this does feel clear and simple. I really tried to simplify the concepts for my students. I work with a lot of middle school students or beginners in music. But what you should get out of this video is clear 5 concepts that will help you with reading music, writing music, focusing specifically on music, the sounds of music, so pitches, not so much on the rhythms and things like that. So that's kind of an intro. As you're watching, if you'd like to check some of the links in the description, there's some resources there. I have a guide that I created, free download you can get of this information that'll be easy to go through, quick read, maybe like 10-minute read, I think at the most. So here we go. I did try and make one of these videos before, and I think it kind of got garbled by the poor reception that I had. So here we go again. You can time me, see how long this takes. So I'm going to give you the top 5 music theory concepts that I have found to be the most helpful for people learning to read music, learning to write music, understanding music, composing, arranging, all those things. These are the 5 concepts that you can build upon and do pretty much everything else you need to do. All right, so I'm just going to give you the top 5 concepts. And as we go along, if you have any questions, you can put them into the chat. Hey, Dave Walker, thank you. Let me know what you think. So can you read this? Can you see this? All right, so the first one is the musical alphabet. So as we're going along, I recommend you can take some notes, write some things down, and hopefully that will help you out. I'm gonna give you all 5 at first, and then I'll go through each one. Okay, so the musical alphabet is the first one. The second one is generic intervals. Okay, so generic intervals is the second concept. Okay, and those two are related, the musical alphabet and generic intervals. The intervals are counted using the musical alphabet. All right, the third one is a chromatic scale. Chromatic scale. All right, chromatic scale. All right. And then the fourth one is counting half steps. And I'll explain how this works. All right, so counting half steps. And finally, the fifth one, I'm going to give you a formula for the major scales. Okay, so major scales formula. Okay, so those are all 5 there. Now, the first 4 you'll see are kind of like the foundational concepts. And then 5 is an example of how to apply these foundational concepts. And there's many other ways you can apply them, but I like starting with the major scale because it's so useful for so many other concepts. Okay, so let's get going. So the musical alphabet is the first I tell people, if you want to be able to do music, if you know your English alphabet, at least up to the letter G, you should be okay. So the musical alphabet is just that. It's the, so we can do this way. So it's just the first 7 letters of the English alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And it's the musical alphabet is cyclical, or it repeats itself. Okay. So after G would be A again. It doesn't go to H, it goes to A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. And I'm going to draw it like this. Let's see if I can do this here. B, C, D, E, F, G. So you can kind of see like a circle. So after, here we go. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And after G, it starts back again with A. Okay. So that's the first concept. If you have any questions about that, you can put them in the chat, but that's pretty straightforward. Okay. All right. I wonder if I have like a music stand I can put this on. Give me 1 second. Hang on. I wanted to get like a easel or something, but hey, use what we got for now. I don't think this is going to help. All right, class, here we go. All right, so that's the musical alphabet. The second concept is generic intervals. Okay, so generic intervals is not readable on the screen. Can you see that? There we go, generic intervals. So the way you count generic intervals, an interval is the distance between 2 notes, okay, or 2 letters. So you're going to use the musical alphabet. So let's say we had, in fact, I have this on another chart here. Let me go back here. Okay, so let's say we have the musical alphabet, right? And it repeats. Let's erase this for now. Okay. It repeats. So if you start from a certain letter, let's say you start from A, okay? And you go A to D, okay? So what you're going to do is, it's kind of like counting the days of the week. If you're going to go from Monday to Thursday, counting the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's 4 days, okay? So here, you're going to go A to D, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 letters. You count the letter you start with, you count the letters in between, and you count the letter you end on. So this would be called a fourth. A to D would be a fourth. Okay, that's a generic fourth. We don't know if it's a perfect fourth or augmented fourth or whatever. We're not going to get into all that. Like, that's a little bit too much, but it's a fourth, some kind of fourth. Okay. So let's do a different interval example here. Let's say we were to go from like, let's say C to E. Okay. So that would be a third. C, E, C, D, E. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So you're counting the number of letters from one letter to from your starting letter to the end letter. Okay, so counting the number of letters in the musical alphabet. All right, so that's the second one. So we have generic intervals and we have musical alphabet. Okay, go this way. Let's keep it going. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat. Also, I do have a summary of all this stuff that I created, a document, free document you can download. It's in the description there. Okay. The third concept is the chromatic scale. Okay, so let me just draw this here. Okay, so the chromatic scale, there are 12 different pitches for the chromatic scale. Okay, so I'll start just like the musical alphabet started on A. That's easy to remember. We'll start on A for the chromatic scale. Okay, so close this one now. Okay, so this is going to have 12 different pitches. A, it's hard to see. And then I'm going to use the sharps, okay? So in between some of the letters, you're going to have sharps. In between some of them, you're not. Let me just write it out here, and then I'll explain it to you. My sloppy handwriting. Okay, here we have 12 letters. So we have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. This is the sharp. Okay. Right? 12 different pitches. You'll notice some of these are already recognizable from the musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but we're adding some extra letters in there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different pitches. And this is also cyclical, so it repeats itself. So let me show you an example. Actually, I think I can show you here. That's pretty good. I have a link in the description for one tool that I use. I created a card game to help people memorize and master these concepts. And it's called MUSICARDS. So I have in there, is this a good one? A clock diagram, I call it. It's supposed to be more prepared. All right. I don't even see it in here, man. All right, we'll use this one here. Okay, so as you can see here, hopefully, there's 12 different hours on the chromatic scale, kind of like a clock has 12 hours. Okay. There's the one I was going to show you. Here we go. All right. So we have A sharp or B flat, C, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Okay. So it repeats itself. Now you mentioned you see I have some of these are called flat names. So the sharps and the flats, some of the pitches have two names. So basically, remember, if it's a sharp, it also has its flat equivalent. So A sharp is the same as B flat. Okay. A sharp is the same as B flat. C sharp is the same as D flat. D sharp is the same as E flat. F sharp is the same as G flat. And G sharp is the same as A flat. Okay. Okay. So there's multiple names to some of them, but there's only 12 different pitches. All right. All right. Coming right along, there's your chromatic scale. So that's the third of the music theory concepts. One more foundational concept, which is just counting half steps. Okay. So let me go ahead and draw this on a chart here. So I like drawing the chromatic scale in a circle. One, because I call it a clock diagram. One, because there are 12 pitches, which nicely corresponds to 12 hours on a clock. And when you're counting the pitches, let me just write these on here. It's a lot like counting the hours on a clock. Okay. So let me just write these on here. D sharp, E flat, E, F, F sharp, or G flat, G, G sharp, or A flat, A sharp, or B flat, B. Okay, so here's the entire chromatic scale written out. Okay, and I challenge my students to be able to do this by hand quickly. I usually do it like this. So when you're counting the number of half steps between any two pitches, you're just like counting the hours. So say I wanted to go from E to G. So start here. That's like going from, what is it, like 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. That's 1, 2, 3 hours. 1, 2, 3 half steps. Okay, so E to G is 3 half steps. Let's do another one. How about A to C sharp? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 half steps. Okay, so it's just like counting the hours on a clock. All right, one last concept that I'm going to give you, and this is the major scale formula. So by taking these concepts, these one second here, these 4 fundamental concepts, the musical alphabet, generic intervals, chromatic scale, and counting half steps, you can combine these with different formulas that are used to build or spell all sorts of other things. Major triads, 7th chords, helps you figure out harmonies and intervals and all these sorts of things, okay? But I'm going to show you the major scale formula. So we're going to start with the musical alphabet, and we're going to use counting generic intervals on the musical alphabet. Then we're going to go second step, we're going to use a chromatic scale and count the number of half steps. And I'm going to give you the formula for counting the number of half steps for any major scale. So for now, I'm going to show you how to do a D major scale. And if you go to the link in the description, the guide is a free guide you can download. I use the same example there, okay? So we're going to D major scale. So the first step is write down your first letter. So that's D, okay? Then you're going to go up the musical alphabet by seconds until you get all 7 letters. So basically go up the alphabet, okay? So D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So those are the letters that will be in the D major scale, okay? And we'll get to whether we need to use any sharps or flats next, but for now, these are the base letters that you're going to be using, okay? Then we're going to go to the chromatic scale, and this is the formula that I want you to use, okay? 2, 2, well, let's see. Start with your starting note, which we're going to call in. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, this is the formula for major scale. It's the number of half steps that you're going to be counting. So starting from your starting pitch, you're going to count 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. Let me show you what this looks like on the chromatic scale, okay? So let's say you start on D. Okay, starting on D. If I go 2, so D is my starting note. That's N is D. All right. 2 is going to be 1, 2. And then 2 more. 1, 2. 2, 2, 1. Okay. So I got 2, 2, 1, and then 2, 2, 2. All right. Hope you can see this. So from D, I did 2 half steps, 2 half steps, 1 half step, 2 half steps, 2 half steps, 2 half steps. Okay? So the letters I ended up on, starting from D, were D, then 2 half steps to E, 2 half steps to either F sharp or G flat. And in the next step, I'm going to show you which one to choose, okay? 1 half step to G, 2 half steps to A, 2 half steps to B, there's the B, and then 2 more half steps to C sharp or D flat. Okay, we're going to decide which one that is. Now, when you follow these steps in this order, you'll always correctly spell any major scale, okay? So that's 221, 222, and you can't see it, there we go. Then, finally, the last step is you're going to refer back to your musical alphabet, the letters we generated in step 1, okay, here. I'm going to refer back to this part here. And looking at the pitches that were selected, we're going to decide whether to use the sharp version or the flat version. So for example, we have D, E, F sharp or G flat, and then a G. So the letters that were selected were D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So in this case, the letter that corresponds here would be the F sharp. So we'll use this as F sharp. And then you have it again here. We have to choose between C sharp or D flat. So we're going to choose the C sharp because that goes with what the alphabet says. Okay. So the final version of the D major scale is going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. That goes for any major scale, starting from any pitch. Follow that formula. Do the alphabet first. Make sure you get the right base letters. Follow this formula, the right number of half steps, counting half steps, and then use that to determine what in the world's going on. Whoa, okay. Anyway, use that to determine what the correct pitches will be. All right, well, that's it. That's the 5 concepts that I think are most helpful for learning music theory, right? I know there's a lot of more stuff out there. Maybe this could have been explained with, more tools, maybe showing on the piano or with pitches and singing or whatever. But I think if you have these basics, however you want to memorize them, get them down, especially those first 4, and then use that to build everything else from, okay? And that's going to help you with reading music, writing music, understanding chords, chord progressions. All you're going to need is, some different formulas sometimes, but now you know how to apply the formulas. This will help with reading music because on the staff, you'll be able to see how the letters are related to each other and how the pitches are related to each other. So that's that. Hope this was helpful. Are there any questions? You can put them into the chat or into the comments if you're watching this afterwards. I just want to say again, if you find this helpful, make sure you like and subscribe and check the links in the description. I've created some resources to help with mastering and memorizing these music theory concepts. And I have a card game called MUSICARDS. I'll show you this is the MUSICARDS. Okay. There's a bunch of cards that we play games with so that as you're memorizing and learning these concepts, you're having fun. So it's not just a bunch of taking notes or worksheets or, boring things that maybe it's fun for you, but it's a lot more fun than flashcards. It's like, anyway, but check that out. Links are in the description. And that's all I have for you now. Once again, do download that free music theory guide that I put in the description as well. And it has all this information there. Once again, my name is Joseph E. Reed. Hope that is helpful, and we'll see you next time. God bless.